It is 6 a.m. Central African Time. Kwalelo mhla sivuselana lo mhla ekseni vuka nathi sakwemukela ehlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show. This is the Tuesday edition of this week's Kusile Breakfast Show. It is the 9th of April. What a tricky time it is, particularly now buka simo selitulo mfombe njengisakuvusela. You'll pardon me there ukuthi angakuvuseli kahle. Very good morning to you.
Good morning,
It's very interesting as we're driving to work with the person that drives us to work. Usho something interesting ukuthi hawu nyalo bekunetinkhanyeti seliyana selehlise emathonsi. And it speaks to what the past 2 weeks has been like. It has been very inconsistent, mawubuka the weather patterns, but what we have been seeing recurring is the rainfall. And this reminds you of the COVID times. Nakufika COVID ngoba kasinakufika COVID bobona ukuthi kunabodokotela labasitshelako ukuthi kwentekani nge-COVID-19. And then there's people on the internet spreading misinformation and disinformation, others pretending to be experts, and yet we have technocrats on the field. And so I did get in touch. Nebaga met. We will have the director of Eswatini Meteorological Service, about the inconsistent weather patterns, particularly the rain, because the way that it has affected Kupila Wemaswat is Vilagutsi Esteg as a Tatawe Lomkwakolo connector, those two environments, Ulimele, and as a result, over 60 of pupils couldn't go to school on Monday. And Emaswat Lamanenge Sagat Kanza Pagamisa Emapapo ngoba there have been rumors really extending. Tropical Gamane has hit Eswatini. Has it really hit Eswatini? And if it has, particularly on the days which was on last weekend on Friday and on Saturday, it looked like only the eastern part of Eswatini was hit, and yet the rumors were it was going to hit the whole of Eswatini. We did see a couple of showers during the Army Day and as well as in Ngwenyama Cup. Yesterday, bantu bathi tena babuka ke tincingweni ukuthi liviki lisaqhubeka kutawuba kanjani. Tuesday, which is today, looked like it wasn't going to rain, and to our surprise this morning it is raining, and this calls for a conversation. Nebaga met naku sesingena nasebusika now sinje uyabuka ukuthi ilanga selishona nini namakhata sekanjani. Will we have a rainy winter this season? Ditsintango Mateltulu, the director of Eswatini Meteorological Service, will shed light into the many questions that we have.
Yeah. And of course sitawuphindze sititeke tindzaba tetiko letemphilo njengoba nje WHO noma ke United Nations commemorate a Global Health Week this week. Sitabe sinabo baka Ministry of Health lababuke tona tindzaba tekunatfwa kwamaphilisi ema-ARVs nekuba nje netindzaba te-adherence lapha even Eswatini njengoba nje WHO abika ukuthi according to WHO almost 1 million people die from HIV and AIDS njalo ngemnyaka, and in some countries it's the leading cause of death. The country lapha even released the National Multi-Sectoral HIV and AIDS Strategic Framework kusukela mhla 2018 ifike ku-2023 levetako ukuthi live leSwatini lieme ukuthi kureduceke ema-HIV incidents among persons aged 15 to 49 nga 85%, kuphindze kureduce ema-HIV incidents among persons aged 15 to 24 by 85% nakhona, and also kureduce nama-new infections among infants. Kanti konke lokho is not possible noma it's not achievable if there is no adherence. We'll be joined by Nompilo Gwebu, who is the treatment adherence officer khona etiko letempilo in commemoration of Global Health Week. Sitabe sinayo half past 6 lomuhla ekseni. Kanti kumanje sibuye nathi lethamba embili kumaphephandzaba. It's after 6 asibuke ama newspaper headlines. Tawucala nge-Times of Eswatini. Kuledo lethamba embili Mkhonyana pre-outbreak warning. Government warns against consuming infected cattle, goat, sheep meat. 3 dangers revealed including liver, kidney damage in humans. Buy meat from licensed butcheries. Farmers advised to bury or burn infected carcasses. More on page 2. Zuma family has home in Eswatini. It is situated at Emafuteni. The Prime Minister corruption allegations. Government says bring proof. Only kids with cancer to benefit in Palala Fund, and banker arrested for wife's attempted murder.
Temidlalo Times of Eswatini this Tuesday morning, making the leading story after steering Green Mamba to glory. Ernest is in 140,000 Malangeni bounty. Mavuso is reportedly entitled to 10% of 1.4 million Malangeni prize money, which they secured, having won the 6th edition of Ingonyama Cup, which was played this past weekend. Very big congratulations to Ernest and his team once again. That's a big cut there. 10% is a lot of money. Now I would say from that 1.4 million Malangeni, it's 140,000 Malangeni going straight into his account. And another one, government defends Somhlolo drainage system. Government has cleared the air following the drainage system challenges experienced at waterlogged Somhlolo National Stadium pitch during the final of the 6th edition of the Ingonyama Cup. Sitfombe depict exactly what transpired there during the weekend as the players played on a very, very watery pitch. Anzike kulenye inzaba Ingonyama Cup sponsorship mhlalo wayo ke praise for renewal as the Sincephetelo Motor Vehicle Accidents Fund's 3-year sponsorship term has expired. Ingonyama Cup chairperson Lokungu Prince Hlangabeza hopes for an improved deal. Williams nominated for top honor in Johannesburg. Bafana and Mamelodi Sundowns goalkeeper Ronwen Williams has been nominated for the 2023 COSAFA Awards Men's Goalkeeper of the Year. Ikuyekugcina inzaba Siema Mdambo Libito Scoop Monthly Awards.
Alright, Nasibuga Eswatini Observer, Leti Hamba Imili 1,000 teaching jobs in Taiwan. Taiwan's Ministry of Education is looking for quality English teachers and assistants to create more opportunities for Taiwanese pupils to learn English. More on pages 2 and 3. In other news, joy as Jacob Zuma's son gets land at Mafuteni. Inyati wins in Mbiveni sale benefits, and pupils showcase at Runway Revolution.
Temidlalo Eswatini Observer this morning, the big story in quest for a perfect run. Green Mamba shift focus. They now want to win the MTN League title, and they will face off with Buffaloes this coming weekend. Bonuses on the cards for Green Mamba players. There's a story that speaks to after the stellar performance which was displayed on Sunday, Green Mamba players will smile from ear to ear. I pray for Ingonyama Cup to return. This is the prayer of Ingonyama Cup Management Committee Chairman Prince Hlangabeza, who wants the money spinning tournament to return in the future.
All right, moving on to the Eswatini Daily News. Leading headlines: Stop defaming the Prime Minister. Government spokesperson Alpheus Nxumalo issued a statement condemning allegations of corruption and abuse of power leveled against the Prime Minister. And in other news, the Deputy Prime Minister has returned from the commemoration of Rwanda genocide.
Kutemidlalo, ku Eswatini Daily News, the big story: Prime Minister appeals for companies to support Temidlalo netemasiko. Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says he was honored to join His Majesty King Mswati III, as well as thousands of Maswati for the memorable Ingonyama Cup finals this past weekend. Bishop Lukele is confident of Bird's success. CAF left with eggs on faces after downs.
Right, it's 9 minutes after 6. Tausa Zalke for Spain at Swati.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research bafunze.
Being risky it means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sende ukukhicita lokusembili.
Kunjalo masondo amahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
Sifile sive sithi khulumeni.
Imizuzu lelishumi nakunye kubumbene insimbi yesithupha kwalomuhla siphinze sikwamukela ehlelweni kusile breakfast show yangelisuku lwangalesibili mhla ka9 April sikwamukela nje sifuna kwethabela nathi itindzaba tesiswati silo semhlaba sithi temidlalo eveni leSwatini kumele tithuthuke tifike ezingeni lelisetulu bese ke kuthi emasiko ayachubeka nawo nengidlondlobala nekulondvoloteka ingwenyama emhlaba beyikade iphefumula ngesikhathi kunemancamo yenzebe engwenyama cup enkundleni yesive kasomhlolo.
Kuqhubeka kwenzebe yengwenyama cup kuyawukwenza siciniseko ukuthi emazinga elibhola evene yaqhubeka nokuthuthuka futhi nemasiko ayalondvoloteka. Kungakosiko semhlaba sayisukumisa lenzebelo kungumcucelano temasiko nemidlalo welibhola letinyawo. Lena nzebe isekelwa ngetimali inhlangano yesincephetelo NBA. Ingwenyama yasukumisa lenzebe yokuhlanganisa amasiko netemidlalo lokuyintfo leyingcophamlando emhlabeni wonke jikelele. Kuthi tawuthuthuka temidlalo yelibhola letinyawo nemasiko agcineke. EmaSwati yathi yadlala libhola phindze futhi yente siciniseko ukuthi temasiko atisalele ngaphandle nato tiyathuthuka tiyayimbili. Kulamancama lenzebe silo semhlaba siphefumlela umhlaba. Silo semhlaba sithe kuhlanganisa temidlalo netemasiko kulesa sive ndzawonye silichamukisa itinhlangothini letehlukene telive futhi lena nzebe iletha lethemba ukuthi ngalenye ilanga emaswati ayawubonakala agcutselana kuletinye tindzebe temhlaba. Lizinyane umfana Nkosi yenzile ngaphambi kokuthi silo siklomelise boshampeni libonakele likhangisa ngenkomishi lewinwe ngilabo labahambe embili kulenzebe. Lelilanga lemancamo licala ngemchuzelano wetemasiko lapho khona bekuyawucutselana labo lebebamelele tifundza totine eveni njengoba bekungilabo labahamba embili ngesikhathi lomncintiswano usetifundzeni. Lo mncintiswano uvulwe ngetimbongi kwase kulandzela leminye imigido yesiswati lefaya khathi luthango ingadla indlamu kanye nalacwebetelako. Ngamuva kwaloko kube sekulandzela umdlalo welibhola letinyawo emkhathini kwembabane Swallows neGreen Mamba lekungiwo emacembu bekakade achutselana kutemancamo ehlangothini lwebhola. Ingwenyama eklomelisela abahambe embili kulomcuzelwano kutemasiko etimbongini kube ngusenzo Dlamini Engadleni khona kube ngumkhuzweni, kani endlamini khona kuhambe embili basemaphalaleni. Alithangweni khona kube basenkwene, bese kuthi kulacebetelako kuba basebuseleni. Emdlalweni webhola khona ingonyama iklomelise licembu leGreen Mamba lokube ngilo boshampeni balemidlalo. Edintsabeni kubika Pholile Maziya enkundleni yesive kaSomhlolo.
Mvunankhulu umhlonishwa Russell Dlamini sawulilele emengameli welive leMozambique His Excellency Philip Nyusi hulumende kanye nesive seMozambique ngengoti yesikepe lesicwile nebantu labangetulu kwemashumi layimfica. Anzike labantu labe bagibelele esikepe kuthiwa bebasuka enzaweni yaselunga balibangise kulesinye setihlenge takulela live ngasesifundzeni saseNampula. Anzike mvunankhulu uthi kuvisa buhlungu kakhulu ukuthi labantu bebalekela inkinga yekwanza kwesifo semsheko kuleya ndzawo. Kanti-ke futhi lesifo sanzile emaveni lamanyenti lasendansini e-Afrika njengoba saqala kuhlasela ngenyanga yaBhimbidvwane ngeminyaka wa-2023. Umhlonishwa Mvunankhulu uthi uyethemba ukuthi emave emhlaba kanye netinhlangano takamhlaba titawuhlanganisa tinhloko tiphume nesisombululo sekwekuthi lesifo singanqoshwa njani kulesifundza. Anzike ngakulenye indzaba Mvunankhulu umhlonishwa Russell Dlamini uhlangene nalomelele inhlangano yakamhlaba yetekudla i-Food and Agriculture Organization leyatiwa nge-FAO Dr. Patrice Thala Takukam losehhovisi lalenhlangano esifundzeni lesendansini e-Afrika. Bahlangene-ke kutawudzingidza tindzaba letiphatselene nekucinisekisa ukuthi kudla kuba ngilokwanele kulesifundza. Kulo mhlangano umhlonishwa Mvunankhulu ulandzise ngetinkinga letikhona letiphatselene netindzaba tekudla kuleli. Wagcizelela loko labe bakukhulume nemcondzisi walenhlangano Q Dongyu edolobheni leRome kuleTaliyane lapho khona live leTaliyane belibambe umhlangano lomkhulu kanye nemave e-Afrika. Anzike kuletinkhulumo umhlonishwa Mvunankhulu ucacise ngalokusebaleni isidzingo sekwekuthi lenhlangano ivule emahhovisi ayo laphelele eveni laseswatini. Anzike kude itawukhona kusebenzisana nelive etindzabeni tekudla kuthuthukiswe netinhlelo tetekulima kuleli. Umhlonishwa Mvunankhulu uphindze wagcizelela ukuthi live leSwatini linesidzingo sekwekuthi likhulise tingungu talo tekugcina kudla lokuluhlavu kute-ke kutawuchubeka kutfolakale ngisho noma ngabe lomisile. Kulo mhlangano kulinywa kwembila kanye nemabhontshisi kugcizelelwe kakhulu. Anzike letinye tilimo lekukhulunywe ngato kabanti kulinywa kwetitselo letifaka ekhatsi yemakotapeni. Dr. Thala ukhombise kudiva ticelo letibekwe ngumhlonishwa Mvunankhulu kakhulu leso sekuvula lihhovisi lalenhlangano leliphelele kuleli. Dr. Thala uphindze waveta ukuthi iNkosi Mswati wesithathu imenywe emhlanganweni i-World Food Forum lapho itawuphefumulela khona njengesimenywa lesikhulu. Ungakapheli lomnyaka losetulu tawube sewakhiwe umgomo wemthetho lohlose kwesekela emaswati kutebhizinisi i-Citizens Economic Empowerment Act. Anzike indvuna yelitiko letemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana umhlonishwa Manqoba Khumalo uthi lo mgomo ngiwo lotawucacisa kwekuthi ngubani lotawusekelekwa noma ke lotawusekelwa ngaphansi kwalomthetho lomusha.
Ngeminyaka wanga-2011 litiko letemabhizinisi lacala kwakha umthetho wekusekela emaswati kutebhizinisi i-Citizens Economic Empowerment Bill lephasiswe yaba ngumthetho eminyakeni lophelile. Tinhlangothi letitsindzekako tithi litiko litawuhlukanisa kanjani kutsi ngubani lokufanele atfole kwesekelwa ngaphansi kwalomthetho ngobe nesivele sibuya ngaphandle nasesinetinchwadzi tebuve takuleli singakhona kutfola kwesekelwa ngaphansi kwalomthetho.
Lama regulations atawucacisa ukuthi masithi citizen njengoba kusho i-constitution sikhuluma ngemuntu lotalelwe la eveni lakangwane watfola buve nekudalwa kuleli vela kangwane. Sendela kuthini-ke sendela ukuthi lo mthetho vele ushayelwe kusita emaswati langalitholi ithuba leku participate ku-economy ukuze ukuthi bakhone ukuthi ba-participate ngalokuphelele emnothweni wakangwane. So lokho sidakucacisa as we unpack lama-regulations kepha sidaba nesiqiniseko ukuthi asihluki lokusho i-constitution ukuthi umuntu we-citizen ngilonjani. lo utawuba mcoka kulomthetho lomusha ukuthi kutawubuketwa ema-sectors ale economy ukuthi ngidawubekisa sithi ku-transportation sector, mhlawumbe sithi ku-retail sector, naletinye tindzawo leti kanjalo sithi lapha sibheke ukuthi kuyawuba ngemaswati ema-citizens elive lakangwane ete kwaba ngilaba bekuhamba labachamuka sebahluma nje singabadi ukuthi babheke phi bese bathatha lawo mabhizinisi abangemaswati. Kwesibili utawusho lomthetho ukuthi kutaba netindzawo leti tawusho ukuthi ngoba mhlambe lapha kusedolobheni mhlambe kungaba noma ngangibani lona le business le kanje, kepha kulendzawo le kuyaba ngemaswati. Asikakabheki ukuthi masi developer emabhizinisi le etinkundleni tethu le kuboba betikhulu bese sesikhanza sesibangiswa nabantu bekuhamba.
Inhlangano yabosomabhizinisi bemdabu kaHhohho i-Federation of Eswatini Business Community ishayele etandla litiko ngekwakha umthetho lo njengalona. Sihlalo walenhlangano Johannes Manikela uthi bekubakhathata kubona lababuya ngaphandle kwakuleli sebathethe emabhizinisi etitolo nasetinkhundleni. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelson Ndlangamandla nginavuma inkosi Nzimisa eMbabane.
Indvuna litiko letekulima umhlonishwa Amandla Chauka sekhutsate balimi ukuthi sebangacala kulima tilimo letihambisana nesikhathi sanyalo. Indvuna ithi letilimo letivumako nyalo tifaka ekhatsi emabhontshisi netindlubu kulokunye. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngemuva kwekuthi kube netimvula letitfolakele cishe live lonke.
LeSwatini litfole timvula kusukela ngaleSihlanu cishe even lonke lokwendeke ukuthi netifundza letiyaye titfole imvula lencane titfole imvula lebonakalako njengoba letinye tindzawo letisetibonjeni titfole imvula leng-10.2 millimeters. Kungaleso sizatfu-ke indvuna yelitiko letekulima umhlonishwa Amandla Chauka yeluleka abalimi ukuthi-ke bangatilima netinhlumaya.
Tulu nali siyalibona sineke ngoba sibekulima sihlala sibuka sisijabula nasibona litulu ngoba nokuba ngengxenye isikhathi sokulima ummbila sesendlulile kodwa ke sengakulima lokunye lokujenge mabhontshisi netinhlumayo nako konke.
Umphathi wenkampani iNational Maize Corporation Mavela Vilane uthi-ke le nkampani isemkhankasweni wekwesekela abalimi ikakhulu labo labalima emabhontshisi.
Cishe umnyaka lo wengcile lesivuno lesivunile was the highest in 2023-2024 harvest season we've ever produced in the country. La khona siphose sakhicita amabhontshisi lasonzelako kulang 300 wema-metric tons kulo 7,000 lotsengwa live. Lokho-ke kuyakukhombisa ke tsatsa wethu ukuthi-ke silive kahle sondliwa ngema-imports. Sapartnerisha ke nenhlangano letifana nabo Enterprise Youth Revolving Fund, sapartnerisha ke nenhlangano letifana nabo IDCE. Lesisiteke garanta letinhlangano letlo ukuthi imali yenu manje imnikile umlimi ohamba ayokhicita libhontshisi itawubuya. Ukuthi thina utasinakaleta libhontshisi kithi sibambe imali yenu simnikete iprofit yakhe. Sikhuluma nje nyalo izathu wethu lokusimela mbi kwakho nje nyalo ebalimi noma umhlaba losebhontshisi lelifakwe etandla ngu-NMC ang-107,000 ema-hectares kungimanje la ngetetela etikwala ma-hectares bekakhicitiwe lakhe lo 300 and something thousand.
Vilane uphindze waveta ukuthi le nkampani yakhe budlelwane netinkampani letahlukene kwetama kwesekela abalimi ukuthi-ke bakhicite ngelinani elibhekekile. Tindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginaThemba Shabangu eMbabane.
Kude sikhwama sekwesekela abosomabhizinisi lesibuya ebhange lemhlaba iWorld Bank lesingaphansi kwelitiko letemabhizinisi nekuthengiselana. Indvuna yalelitiko umhlonishwa Manqoba Khumalo ecwayisa sive ngemlayeto legcwele etinkhundleni noma-ke legcwele etinkhundleni tekuchumana lethi indvuna kanye nelitiko ifuna abosomabhizinisi lengabasekela ngaphansi kwalesikhwama ethi lokhu akusilo nani iliciniso.
Bekunene sicela ucwayisa sive sicwayisa sive ngokuthi kunesimemetelo lesikhona ku social media lesithi kune grant imali lenikwa abantu labafuna ukucala amabhizinisi. Lesimemetelo sithi le grant isetshenziswa litiko la commerce ibambisene neWorld Bank. Sicela kusho ukuthi kude into lenjalo lokho lesikubona kwakusilo iqiniso futhi ke kungasoke liqiniso njena kunebungoti bekuthi labantu labadenda ungathi bangithi mangabe seniphendvula batawugcina bafuna nemali kanti akukho maqinisweni lokho. Sicela ke xwayisa sive sathi ukuthi live linayo iwebsite yalo, uhulumende unayo iwebsite yakhe. Nelitiko laka-commerce ikhona iwebsite lekhona yaka-commerce kanye futhi nema-social media pages aka-commerce lachaza ukuthi kuphi lokuqiniso lokwenziwa nguhulumende. Lokhu njena lesikushoko akusiko, asikwati, siyacela ukuthi eMaswati achaphele sisikhiphele isimemetelo emaphepheni sesithi lamhla siphinde sikugcizelela ngoba siyabona silabanye abasibonakala isimemetelo emaphepheni kanti kungendeka ukuthi bese kuba khona ubungoti ukuthi labantu bagcina bathatha imali yeMaswati noma bavusele ithemba leMaswati ngemvo lengekho. Siyacela ke ukuthi sive sixwayiseke ngalokho.
Kuthuthuka ngetebuchwephesha kunganika leSwatini emathuba ekuthuthukisa umnotho likhona ke kufeza liphupho lengwenyama lekuba ingcenye yemave e-first world status. Lokho kuvakele ngemphatho welibandla lelengamele etekuchumana mvila wempi Dlamini ngesikhathi lelibandla libambe umhlangano sikolwa. Loyo-ke lwenvulela umhlangano lomkhulu nalababukete kuchumana enhlanganweni yemave lasentasi nesifundza se-Afrika.
Libandla lelengamele etekuchumana eveni ESCOM libambe umhlangano wesikole wekwenvulela umhlangano lomkhulu lobanjwa njalo ngeminyaka we-13 wekrasa. Kulo mhlangano kutabe kukhulunyiswa tindzaba tekutfutfukisa tebuchwephesha kanye nemaposi kuyilelo nalelo live leliyingcenye yenhlangano yemave lasentasi nesifundza se-Afrika. Kanti kutawuphindze kubuyeketwa umkhombandlela wekrasa weminyaka wa 2024 kuya ku-2028. Umphathi welibandla lelengamele etekuchumana kuleli mvila wempi Dlamini uthi inhloso yalomhlangano kutfola tindlela tebuchwephesha letinsha letitawusita kutfutfukisa lenhlangano.
Kutobonisana nje ke ukuthi njengoba live selabanjena nje libuke kakhulu lithembele kakhulu kutona letekuchumana lokuthi kepha vele yini lekufanele siyende singiyona le region yakithi yakaSadaki ikakhulu nalele kujume ngekuthiwa i-digital divide ukuthi singabambisana kanjani ukuthi vele esiqiniseke ukuthi sive seMaswati naso sonke sakaSadaki siphumelela njani ku-bridge leyo digital divide. Yiphi nemithetho kumbe lekufuna siyifake khona la emaveni akithi ukuze kuthi vele sikhone ukuthi sinathi sigcugcelane laba lekuthiwa phecelezi baka-first world.
Mabhalano wemphathi wenhlangano iCrasa Bridget Lindsay uthi yethemba kulo mhlangano lomkhulu batawuphuma netindlela tekutfutfukisa live ngekusebentisa buchwephesha.
Looking at how the emerging technologies, the newer digital technologies which are emerging in the industry, including artificial intelligence, big data, and all other applications which are coming with 5G mobile technologies, would allow us as a region to develop in terms of social and economic growth.
Kanti umhlangano utawuqala ngalesithathu kuleli viki ngaphansi kwesiqubulo lesithi Innovation for Better Regulation. Lobuka tindzaba ngosini Swazibani Anasimuva Shongwe ezulwini.
Phindza itsengisa tibhidvo inambot ithi balimi labanendzawo yekulima tibhidvo lengu 0.5 wemahekta sabangakhona kutfolwa kwesekelwa ke ngaphansi kwesikhwama sekubelekela ke i-horticulture input subsidy kubalimi betibhidvo letisheshe tivuthwe ema-baby vegetables. Umphathi walenkampani ebhekizwe Maziya uthi babese banciphisa linani lemahekta ngemuva kwekubona ukuthi balimi banebulukhuni kufinyelela kulesikhwama.
Ngenyanga yeNgwengweti eminyakeni lophelile, uhulumende usukumise isikhwama sekwesekela abalimi betibhidvo i-horticulture input subsidy ngaphansi kwenkampani iNamport. Umphathi walenkampani uthi lizinga lekusebenzisa lesikhwama liphansi.
Lenye yale ma-requirements ale input subsidy ithi umlimi kufuna lokungenani abe nemhlaba lo li-hectare kuyetulu ukuze atokhona kuhlangabeteka ngale input subsidy. Futhi nema-crops lekungona siwa-targetile akusiyo nje noma ngayini lolima nje likhabishi alikho part of lama commodities ngoba sipromota ikakhulu kade nawe lesiwabona chamuka ngebuningi ngaphandle. But isikhalo ke salabalimi sithi lo 1 hectare lo minimum requirements. One, labaningi bawo bede balima ticagogwana abalimi bethu bo 0.2 hectares bo 0.3 hectares. Lokhu tasifikisa kadzene ekunciphiseni lama imports lachamuka ngaphandle. Kungawo ke leli hlelo lethu lathi sitawufuna kuba sita abalimi ukuze ba commercialize balime large scale farming ukuze sitosheshe sinciphise lo mkhicito lochamuka ngaphandle kwelive. Bakhala ke abalimi ukuthi lama inputs ladzingwa ngo 1 hectare semakhulu lo 60% lekudzingeka kusibona bamcontribute NAMPOD acontribute 40% abasafinyeleli kuye ngoba lo lelithamo lelidzingekako lema inputs selikhulu. They do not afford that. Bese kwendekile kubekwa ukuthi ikakhulu kade labalima ema baby vegetables NAMPOD so babukele kusicha asesehlekele skali from 1 hectare siye ku 0.5 hectare ngoba ama baby vegetables vele ngesikwawo awayidingi lenzawo lenkulu. Sewubehlisele ke bona ukuthi sebatawucala ku 0.5 of a hectare.
Inhlangano yebalimi kuleli Eswatini National Agricultural Union ithi kuyakhuthata kubona NAMPOD isekela abalimi ngekunciphisa tintfo letidzingekako kulesikhwama ikakhulu kubalimi labathengisa tibhidvo letisheshe tivuthwe ema baby vegetables. Umcondzisi Lwazi Mamba uthi balimi labaningi balima ngaphansi kweli hectare lebekade lidzingeka kutfola kwesekelwa kulesikhwama njengoba balima kusukela ku 0.25 hectares. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelisiwe Ndlangamandla nginavuma Inkosi Nzinisa eMbabane.
Kutemidlalo lokhulumela indzebe yeNgwenyama Cup Kusile Masuku sewubonga Silo Inkosi Mswati wesithathu kanye ke naso sive seMaswati ngekuba khona enkundleni yesive kaSomhlolo kuyawubukela emancane endzebe yeNgwenyama Cup kulemphela sonto. Lendzebe ithethwe licembu leGreen Mamba ngemuva kwekushaya licembu leMbabane Swallows. Sitephetsa kanjalo tindzaba tekucala lomhla elihlelweni sitawuba hlola emarket sitawubuya sichubeke nehlelo.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Kunjalo masoda amahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
sivile sive sithi khulume.
United Nations bakupa a Global Health Week kuleli viki sibuka nje dona tindzaba tetempilo lamhla sibuka dona tindzaba tekuthathwa kwamaphilisi ARVs kuba nje ukuthi ngabe live leSwatini selihambe kanganani etindzabeni te-adherence. WHO uyaveta ukuthi 1 million people die from HIV and AIDS each year. In some countries it is the leading cause of death. Live leSwatini released the National Multi-Sectoral HIV and AIDS Strategic Framework kusukela ngomnyaka wa 2018 yekumnyaka wa 2023, which aims at reducing HIV incidence among persons aged 15 to 49 years by 85%. Kanjalo ke nelabana 15 to 24 years by 85%. Liphinde reduce nema AIDS deaths by 50%. Angithi konke lokho is not achievable if there is no adherence. Sinaye ke lapha nompilo kwebu lo treatment adherence officer etiko letempilo sifuna kuva ukuthi ngabe simephi silive leSwatini ngayo adherence. Asikuvusele kwebu sabanga ukuthi benathi lamhla ekseni ngifuna sikhulume ngetindzaba nje tekuthathwa kwama-ARVs. Siyakhumbula ukuthi vele ni-Ministry of Health indzaba lenkulu kade lenikhutsatako ukuthi umuntu naseka-teste positive avele acale i-treatment instantly. Ingabe vele mhlambe kuba leyanganani lokuthi umuntu acetha ukutfola simo sakhe sengade ukuthi si-positive awacale lamaphilisi and kwentekani la emtimbeni mangabe angeke awathathe lawo maphilisi?
Okay. Sibonge kakhulu Mthombeni ngokuthi live lakithi likhombise ukuthi lusito loluniketa abantu banako kulamukela njengaleti nombolo lotivedile ukuthi silive sesifike kuphi. Noko ke imibiko lesolo siyithola iyakhombisa lokho ukuthi usabhekeke ukuthi sithathe unyawo thide kufinyelela kulabanye bethu. Njengaloko sikhulumisa tindzaba tetempilo nekunatheka kwemaphilisi ema-ARVs ngendlela lekahle. Nasikhuluma ngale literacy lokusho ukuthi sikhuluma ngelwadi lekumele ukuthi umuntu abe nalo ekubeni asadada ukuthi uphila nayo HIV. Asicale ke ngeke siye emangweni ukuthi kumbe so testile utalithola emangweni. Sicala khona emtholampilo ukuthi emva kobusadi lesimo uyabe suba nekukhulumiseka lesithi kululeko lokutafaka ekhasi nekuthi sibuke ukuthi ulwadi lwakho lungakanani bese siyakhona ke lokukuniketa lo lwadi. Akugcini futhi nalapho kuphela kepha kuba njalo nawuthi emtholampilo kuba khona lokucociswa lokuthi ukhone lokuthi imibuto lonayo uphenduleke. Luhlangothi ke lesitame ukuthi muva siluqinise kakhulu ukuthi sikhone ukuthi umuntu wethu la ngabe sho ukuthi utestile wathola ukuthi uphila ne-HIV bese kuba nalendlela ukuthi simbuke lokho ukuthi ulungele yini lokufaka ekhathi nalolo lwadi bese siba na indlela kumlandzelela. Kunetinhlelo lengathi siphindze satende emtholampilo kusekela loyo muntu etinyanga letisithupha lokusho ukuthi sikufaka ekhathi kushayelwa kwelicingo kuhlola ukuthi kuhamba njani noma nasabuyile emtholampilo sekuphindze kuba netingcoco ezichubekako. Kwengeda nje ke njengoba ngivedile ukuthi akacali ngekuva emangweni kuphela kepha sinalo lo hlelo njengoba sinato tinhlangano tabomhlabuhlangene letihle tifaka sandla ukuthi sifinyelele emangweni lapho kunaleti gungu tebantu labaphila ne-HIV letiphindze tibe nalo lithuba lekuthi bafundziseke kube nalabata uceceshwa ukuthi bafundzise labanye lokusho ukuthi ke ngileto tinhlelo lapho senda khona ukuthi kusuka la mtholampilo yini ke lonyalo longakwati kabanti umuntu lophila ne-HIV lokufaka ekhathi ukuthi wanasa njani ama-ARVs ami ngithembeka kanjani bese naletinye ke tingoni ukuthi nawuphila ne-HIV akusiko kuphela ukuthi ngilo HIV kepha sekunashukela yini lokunye futhi lekubhekeke ukuthi ngikwente ke nyalo ngisathi naka kudo tonke letingoni leti lokuze ke kufike nasekhathi ukuthi nasikhuluma ngekwethembeka siyanaka ukuthi silitiko akugcini nje kutheni nginatha iphilisi kepha kunetimo letiba khona emaceleni ongakhanza ukuthi umuntu uthi yamthikabela ngilapho phinde singena khona nekusebenzisana netinye inhlangano emimangweni ngingabekisa nje tenhlala kahle timo letikhanza ukuthi dilimata ingcondo lokusho ukuthi sesicalile sibuke nangalapho kwathi ukuthi loyo muntu ingcondo yakhe ilungise kanjani kuze ukuthi angayekele amaphilisi kepha akhona ekuchubeka nephila.
Ingabe vele kontekani la emtimbeni egwebe nangabe lo muntu satestile positive angawacala lamaphilisi immediately ni adviselana ukuthi vele after testing positive start treatment.
Nasibuyela emuva siyakhumbula lokho ukuthi i-HIV ifike ilimade lesivikelo semtimba lokusho ukuthi kutaleka kwemasotsha emtimbeni kufike i-HIV igucule bese ithi khichita yona. Nase sithi ke umuntu esophila nayo i-HIV sekumele aqale lama ARVs setama lokuthi sicinzetele lo mkhicito we-HIV la mtimbeni. Kunedingoni lapho lamaphilisi afika sebenze khona ukuthi nangabe ngelisotsha lemtimba ingakhona le-HIV uhlasela lelinye nangabe kusho ukuthi iphume kuleli linye lisotsha leselishintshile laba ngumshini wekudala le-HIV but ingakhona ihlasela lamanye amasotsha lasengathi ngabeteke nangabe iphunyulile ingakhona lengekhathi kushintsha lo mkhicito kanjalo nangabe seyikhonile yangena yashintsha lo mkhicito ingakhona kuba nemandla ekuphumela ngaphandle. Kungakho sithi nangabe kusho ukuthi sowaqalile emaphilisi ekuthinta ibeda sinana lihlolo lesithi kuhlola linani laleli gciwane emtimbeni lesithi i-viral load. Siyalenda ke nangabe kusho ukuthi umuntu simqalisile athi tinyanga letisithupha phinde siliphinze tinyanga letisithupha emveni kwalo hlolo lwekuqala nalukhombisa lo hlolo lolubili ukuthi ucinzetele siyabese ke umuntu wethu sesimenda kanye ke ngeminyaka ngoba ngilenye indlela yokubambisana naloyo muntu singumtholampilo silitiko kubuka ukuthi vele kunaso lesiqiniseko sekuthi unatha kahle unatha ngesikhathi linani lesilibekile nangendlela lengiyo ngoba kunatha siyathi ukuthi kunginyalo livela kithi lisede umjovo masikhuluma kuma ARVs kepha sisanatha liphilisi siyabheka ke ukuthi nalehla alehle ngemandi lahlobile lingahlanganiswa nalokunye kuze into khona kusebenza emtimbeni. So ngiloko ke lesikwendako lokuhlola lenani nase sithi sowucinzetele sesiphinde sithola tifundiso letinye ukuthi athi phela umuntu wethu ukuthi naso ucinzetele kusho ukuthini njengoba sibheke ukuthi vele naso wanatha lamaphilisi licinzetele libebede amandla ekuchubeka lento umonakalo. Kuningi izinzuzo lesingativeta lapho ekutheni uma ngabe sowucinzetele ngiyathi ukuthi uma ngabe ngisengimake ngisemusha ngisatobuka kukhulelwa uyavikeleka loyo mvana ngoba ngilicinzetele angavuli indlela ukuthi bese lidlulela kumvana nakuye umlingani wami lengihlalisana naye ngiwafihlisile lamathuba ekwekuthi ilidlulisele kuye bese ke sengeda ngokuthi kulabalingani asigcini ngokuthi mine sengiyawanatha ama ARVs sengifike esigabeni sekulicinzetela kepha ngiyasati insimo sakho umlingani kuze phela kutoba nalokusekelana ngoba nangabe ngingasati siyange ukuthi mine ngiyawanatha sekungenteka ukhanza ukuthi lemphumela lesengithi ngitfolile yekuthi ngicinzetele umlingani nakanalo sotangithelela lehlukile kunalele enginalo kungakho solo sikhuthata lokho ukuthi ngiloyo nalo yakasadi isimo sakhe kuze ukuthi sikhone kusekelana nokuthi phinde sifikelane.
Yeah, ngifuna singene nje mhlambe kuleto dinkinga nje nihlangabetene nato nisenda umsebenzi nathi ukuthi inzindaba ya mother to child transmission ukuthi ingabe vele nisakubona yini lokho kwenteka nokuthi kuba ngidiphi vele letinye inkinga lenibhekana nato emitfolampilo mhlambe nasekufika abantu batangicucela tenzaba tabo ukuthi hayi mina ngilifole kanje naligciwane ngifole ukuthi bekasola nalo lo number but bekangifihlela ngabe kuba ngidiphi vele letinye inkinga lenibhekana nato.
Inkinga lesihlangabetana nato kulo lengasho ukuthi ngeke singithi bomake labatetfele but bonke lesiba niketala usido kuba ngolokubhoboka lokubese kwenta lokuthi lomunye athi ngekubhoboka bese uyacwayeka. So ngaloko kuyokhanze ukuthi ilukhuni lenzaba ukuthi nikhulumisa njani ningumndeni noma ninaloyo mlingani ngoba ngiyesaba lokumbhobokela ngaloko kukhanze ukuthi soyanatha sohla anganathi ngoba kuvela kwalesikotela noma kubonakala kwalamaphilisi sekutabe sekwakha imbi phakathi kwanalo mlingani ngoba angambhobokeli. Lokunye ke siyanaka lokuthi noma sisho ukuthi njengalo uvetile ukuthi sikhuluma ngelwadi ngetindzaba tekunatha amaphilisi uyokhanze vele ukuthi lo sanalo lo lwadi ngilo sawa ayati impilo yakhe yakhe awacalile amaphilisi. Kungakho-ke kunaleti inhlelo ukuthi sifinyelela njani emangweni ukuze kutokhona ukuthi nanangilodele HIV akhone kuba nelwadi lolanele letaphinze lwende ukuthi athathe isincimo lesingiso noma athathe indlela yekusekela labo labaphila ne-HIV. Sitendile nje ndawuthi tinkulumo noma ema-campaign pheceleti la zama lokushicilela kwekuthi uma ngabe kusho ukuthi HIV noma sowutholile ukuthi mina nginayo HIV asubese soya ngecwaya kepha ngisekele. So ke ngiloko lesikhanzile ukuthi nasikhulumisa leti nombolo letihle tivela tingabangwa nangiloko ukuthi kulukhuni ukubhoboka ngoba ngidathi ngiyabhoboka bese soya ngicwaya noma soya ngibandlulula ngekuthi sengikhulumile. Umlingani wami sengithi ngekumtshela ukhanze ukuthi inombolo yakhe bese emva kwaloko ayisatholakala emoyeni. Ngileti inkinga lethi bese setithi ke ngiyabatshela noma angibatsheli. Ngaloko kunaloko sifuna nginathe amaphilisi uma ngihleli naye lo muntu ndawanatha njani ngoba phela so khanza ke ukuthi sekuba naleti inkanti ukuthi angisathembeke kunatheni amaphilisi ngani ngoba angambhobokeli ngesaba ukuthi nangabona ngidathi sengisenkingeni.
So kulebo yaboma ke laba HIV positive laba detfele nakhona ingabe negcizelela kanganani nje letempilo ukuthi achubeke abe consistent awanathe amaphilisi anganani amathuba ukuthi angamthelela umfana anganani futhi amathuba ukuthi amthelele yini lekumele ayicaphele make letethwele HIV positive.
Njengalo uyibeka make nakeda for luhlelo lokupopola siqala lapho umkhulumisa lokuthi sobikile nje ukuthi ngishiwe inyanga siyaqala siyamniketa inhlelo uyasathi isimo sakhe uyaphila ne-HIV siyamqalisa ema-ARVs. Naketa ke njengoba ngibekisile ukuthi kunalabadzala lesithi ngathi the general public noma labantu nje ngaphandle kokuthi sesimnakekela ngoba sekunesimo thile. Kubomake ke inhlelo dabo tiyehluka uma beta emtholampilo lokusho ukuthi akusabi isikhathi lesithe kepha ushesha abuye kuloko kubuya kwakhe kuningi lesibese siyakwenda kuze lokumkhulumisa siphinde sicheke nokuthi linani leligciwane elingakanani. So letifundiso tihamba naye make aze fike lapho abeleke khona. Nalo make ke lode i-HIV ngekuthi simhlole isikhanzo sikude inhlelo tiba khona tekuvikela njengoba sathi ukuthi silive sinayo PrEP ngilenye iphinze ngawuthini ihlanganisela ima-ARVs ngoba siyathi ukuthi na ulwa ne-HIV ufuna usebenzise liphilisi lelilwa nale-HIV. So nangala ka PrEP siyakhona kubaniketa make babe netifundiso ukuthi uchube kanjani make netivikela. Asigcini ke kuphela lokuthi bese sibuka lo make sibe nato tindlela ukuthi sifinyelela kanjani emndenini lokufaka ekhathi sifinyelele nakuye babe ikakhulu nangabe make asikhombise ukuthi akasathi isimo sakhe kuze ukuthi phela nabo bakhona ukusitakala ekutholeni tonke letinhlelo ngekuhlukana kwato sisamnakekela make. So le tingcinamba leti bese tisikhombisa ukuthi kunemfana lo bese utholakala sophila ne-HIV ngoba atholeke kumake lophila ne-HIV kepha besimnakekela ufake ekhathi lele senkubalile ukuthi ngilokubhoboka nasibukana letinye tinkinga uyukhanze ukuthi nasikhuluma nje lehlelo lekuhlubeteka kuyabafaka labo manje obukhaza ukuthi sengihlubeteke ngoba ngithenge kuveta skotela ukuthi sengitestile ngathola nje kwakhanza ukuthi umlo mdzala akusamehli kahle yena uva ngazi ukuthi nganguye loyove indzaba wabuya wathi mkami sengive lokho kani phela make ufinyelele ekutholeni lolusito ngoba beka kunasimo lesidinga ukuthi asukumele etulu ukuze ukuthi anakekeleke. So ukhanza ukuthi kuba nalohlubeteka akuhambeni kwesikhathi sokhanza ukuthi make uyawayekela amaphilisi noma lomnye sova ukuthi lomnye uhlubetekile ndawaveta njani nami ngesaba ukhanza basawanathi ngilapho ke la besilimeta kulimala khona lokuthembeka kubo bomake lokhansi bese kuba nawo lomthelela wekokuthi soyalithola ligciwane umfana. Nalokunye kuyukhanze ukuthi njengoba ngibekisile ukuthi simo temnotho tiyandengantenga ukhanze ukuthi make noma titholele tifundiso awanatha lamaphilisi kepha kuba khona loku ndawuthini lokuhle apoloda lokwenda ukuthi agcine umfana sekamhlanganisela. Sikhulumile itolo ukuthi make lomunyisako umunyisa tinyanga letisithupha akamhlanganisela lutho. So khanza ukuthi lo make nawuthi yalandzelela ukhala ukuthi libisi kude ngoba kude naye la kuhlaba. So khanza ukuthi ligciwane seliyendlulela kumfana ngaleyo ndlela leyo ngoba sekube kunekuhlanganiseleka ekunakekeleni umfana kuletinyanga letisithupha lapho umfana sibheke ukuthi akheke agcine akhona umtimba wakhe ukuthi naye afike lapha atawukhona ukuthi ativikele khona. So kodwa ke litiko naleti mitholampilo lesinakekela labo make liye litame ngayo yonke indlela ukuthi make naketile libe nayo indlela yekumcwaningisisa ukuthi ngabe vele simo kutenhlala kahle temnotho yini kuze kuthi akhona siyati ke ukuthi ngesinye isikhathi lusito liba khona kepha kuba kimi nami mina ngilofuna lo sito ukuthi ngiyathembeka nekusho maciniso lapho sengibudwa khona ukhanza ukuthi athi hayi konke kuhamba kahle kepha emvani kwesikhathi sokhanza ukuthi kuvela lesimo leso kungaba ngileyo lemithelela ukuthi asikhona ibhoboka asikhoni nekuthi phinde sibe nekusekeleka lokufaka ekhasi lokho ukuthi temnotho noma kube khona longisekela kwakhona kungilandzelela kubuka ukuthi vele nginathaka ihleyini bese kuyawaveta emathuba ukuthi iHIV idlulele kumfana kumalungu.
So ingabe now ulimala kanganani nje uma bekuthiwa phela mhlawumbe lilanga noma mhlawumbe kuphela iviki noma kuphela inyanga so longa wanatha amaphilisi ingabe kwendingana ngekhathi emtimbeni udilimata kanganani usengodini enganani nje ukuthi mhlawumbe bese uyadefaulta?
Ingodi inkulu njengalo siye sifundise ukuthi uma unatha ama-ARVs asisindvo lesibekiwe lesitawusebenta ema-hour lange-24 pheceleti 24 hours lokusho ukuthi nangilinatha njalo nga-7 leli philisi leso isisindo salo lamandla alo atawusebenta lo 24 hours kufuna ukuthi ngakusasa ngiphindze ngengede kungako lokuthi silinatha onke malanga. Lengoti ke lapha ekutheni kuhle kuvuleka letikhala sewuniketa emandla le-HIV ukuthi bese iba nekuphefumula ngoba yona lokuyicinzetela ayikathuli kepha itamati indlela tekushintsha ukuthi nangake ngithole kuphefumula ngidawubonakala sengivele ngalokuhlukile ngibona ukuthi ngiyaphumelela yini lo ngakhanza ukuthi nalivuka lapho selitakhe laba ngumdwebo losuhlukile kunalo bese ulapha itolo emveni kwesikhathi sesikhanza ukuthi emaphilisi lo wanatha awasakusebenteli. Siye sibone ke ngako lokho ukuthi ukhanze ukuthi sekuvela nasithi sihlola le viral load lenani le-HIV selikhombisa ukuthi elisetulu noma sokucala kuba netinkinga lesithi kuvela kwala tifo letibese tithathe mathuba.
So kubuda nje gwebe ukuthi nangabe sowanatha iminyaka lamaphilisi solo nje wanatha kahle so uzofika esigabeni sekuthi so undetectable imathuba ukuthi uthelele omunye leligciwane anganani?
Njoba ngeke ngachaza emathuba abaphasi kakhulu kepha ngicela lokuveta ukuthi lemphumela le ngingathini injongo lesifisile kumuntu lonathe emaphilisi ukuthi alicinzetele iHIV kepha ke akusho ukuthi bese ubuka lokho mancane emathuba kulidlulisela kumlingani mancane emathuba kulidlulisela kumfana nangabe ngisakhulelwa noma mancane emathuba ukuthi ngalidlulisela kunyabekisa ngiba nekulimala kanti ngi-HIV positive natha lamaphilisi ngeke ube nawo amathuba ekuthi uyithole ngoba ngicinzetele kepha ke lokho akusho ukuthi noma sesikhuluma tindzaba talabadzala tekudlala so kungabe sesowuya ngaloko ukuthi mina lemphumela yami ngicinzetele so lokusikhona ngathini lokulandzelela ukuthi angidivikele ikakhulu nangaba ngimati partner wami ngingathi khanza sengiyakhela omunye umdwebo we-HIV kunalobe ngucinzetela itolo so khanza ukuthi emva kwesikhathi sengikhombisa kuvuka kweligciwane emtimbeni so lokucinzetela sindlela lokho ukuthi wena lonatha emaphilisi ube nako kuzuza ngempilo njengalo sikhulumisa tempilo nje emhlabuhlangeni nawe ube ngilabaphilile nakhulunywa ngetempilo kwesibili naloko ukuthi ngicinzetele akugcini ngawuthini akugcini lapha ekutheni mina sengilicinzetele nje kepha uyakhona lokho ukuthi letinye tinhlelo ngathini kwelashwa lokumukelako njengoba sathi ukuthi uyaphila ne-HIV kepha ngakhanza ukuthi ekukhuleni sonabo BP nabo shukela usalashelwa nalo lokunye uyakhona lo mtimba kulalela lamaphilisi lo wanatha ngoba ngalana sicinzetele naku lokulimata lesivikelo so uyakhona lo mtimba ukuthi ubuyele ube kahle so lokucinzetela ngiko lesikukuthathako kepha siyagcizelela lokho ukuthi uma socinzetela akusho ukuthi sowungabese sowuyekela tonke tivikelo likakhulu engingakhulumisa nje ngayo icondom ukuthi siyathi ukuthi kusebenta kwecondom kuvikela tinfo letiningi bogculisula ukhulela longakulungelele nekufaka ekhathi nayo HIV lokusho ukuthi ngiyivikele mina ngako ke lokhu sikusebenzisana lapha ekutheni ngeke phela umlingani angicwaye ukuthi ngidamthelela ngoba mina ngicinzetele setikhona ke letinye tinhlelo tekuvikela kepha nje ke kimi mina nginatha ama-ARVs ngitakwathi ukuthi nase ngicinzetele asikho sizathu sekungicwaya ngoba ngeke ngisakuthelela HIV kepha ngicinzetele ngidinga nje kuphela kusekelekwa nguwe ukuthi sathi isimo sakho nawe wathi ukuthi kude umdwebo lohlukile longthelela wona kunalo losengicinzetele mina.
Okay ngabe ni advisor ke ukuthi mhlambe uma ufuna sathesile positive sakaqalile treatment kumele aye frequently kanganani nje emtholampilo ayohlola ukuthi kamba kahle yini wanatha kahle yini amaphilisi kumele ukuthi bese so wenda ini after sekacalile treatment.
Uthi ngekutesta bese siyakubuyisa emtholampilo kuyashiyana ngebantu lesibanakekelayo uye bekhona lokhanze ukuthi uta sekuvele sekune tifo thithe lesekuthatha emathuba ukuthi isivikelo sakhe semtimba seside emandla so ukhanza ukuthi kubuya kwakhe sekudanga ukuthi idokotela uthini kepha kuloyo lokhanze ukuthi simcalise njengoba lihlelo lethu noma livela kithi lakhetha lokho ukuthi ngingathesta namuhla ngingacala namuhla bese ngithola kusekeleka ke ngisaqhubeka nekukhulunyiswa indzaba ukuthi ngibani lengambhobokela akhone kungisekela kuya bese soyabuya ngemva kwenyanga ubuye emva kwetinyanga letintsathu lokuthatha lamaphilisi akho kepha letinhlelo lethu njengalo ngivete tiya ngaloko ukuthi lo muntu nasemnakekela simkhanze akusiphi isigaba lesekutheni angalingenela lihlelo lokho ukuthi nyalo nasemqalisa inyanga uyabuya siyambuka uyathatha amaphilisi akhe inyanga letintsathu inyanga letisithupha indlela yokuthatha amaphilisi ngisho ukuthi seyenebe ngetindlela letihlukile lokwenda ukuthi naloyo ative amukelekile noma ative abhekekile naye ngathini kuhlangabedane naye kuthathwa kwamaphilisi dibhedla letinye setinawo lesithi ngema dispensing locker pheceleti imishini lapho ufakelwa khona lamaphilisi uthi nasekumele yolanza uniketwe ipin njengoba siyesikhipe imali tethu emabhange lengaphandle emafasteleni nakhona ushaya inombolo yakho ukukuniketa emaphilisi kube letinye indlela ukuthi bangeta emangweni ngikhona ukuthi kuleyo ndzawo la sibekele ukuthi sitawathatha khona ngiyakhona kwathatha lokuhleke lesikwendile ukuthi asikabuki kuphela HIV kepha sibuke wonke umuntu lesimnakekelako silitiwe na uya lapha kulomshini wekuthatha amaphilisi lolo laceleni kwakho utothatha BP lolo ngala utothatha shukela wena utothatha inhlanganisela yakho kude lo watiko ukuthi wena lo mekule kulomshina lo ngilokuthi unje ade lokho ukuthi uthatha laba HIV positive kuphela nasemtholampilo ungeta ulashelwe egcunsula kepha bakutshela ukuthi uyothatha emshinini emaphilisi akho so ngale ndlela leyo nathi sinaka lokho ukuthi kubede kubandlululeka kwale tinhlelo lesidilethako tekuthatha emaphilisi labanye bawathatha emtholampilo babe digugu lapho sibabona khona ngelanga lesilibekako lokufaka ekhathi nebantwana nebabantu labadzala nangabe kusho ukuthi onenhlanganisela yale timo emtimbeni siyakhona nakhona ukuthi sikwentele nje sigungu lesitawukhona ukuthi sihlangabetane nawo lapho utawuthola nalabanye labatakusekela bonza ngasho ukuthi oh mina nginatha kanje kukhohlwa sekuningi mina ngoba lokhuthatana nibantu labaphila ne-HIV kunayo lenzima lekuyidlalako kuloyo muntu kwathi uthi yathi ngikhulumisene nalomunye lokulesimo sami yathi ngive athi kuyamsebentela yini mina ngene awubohla umkhumbulo indvo letinjalo so ukuthatha lamaphilisi noma ngathi kufinyelela kuthatha sesesiyenaba ngetinhlelo letikhona kuze ukuthi umuntu naloyo akhona kwathi ukuthi mina angikhona ukuthatha ngisuke ngisemsebentini kepha nabangangifakele emshinini ngidakuya so yathi ke ukuthi kanye ngeminyaka so emtholampilo uyawuthatha linani lemasotsha uyahlola tingadi takho lokuhlola tibinzi tinso nako konke ngoba kudzingekile lokho ukuthi sikwene kepha lesikhathi kusahamba lomnyaka ukuthatha kuleti inhlelo letihlukene ngikuthatha emaphilisi
okay no ngiyavakala sibakhulu gobe kusiletha nje leyo information leyo ngako ukuthathwa kwamaphilisi ema-ARVs mhlawumbe sologubha nje liviki le-Global Health Week kungako side kadana tindzaba tetempilo seselikhefu nasibuya sibuka ngaphandle kwakuleli
kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research bafunze
being risky it means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula
nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu sekubili
Ujala masada mahle kunakho lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokho sifile sive sithi khulumeni.
Staying with us, this is the news at 7. His Majesty King Mswati III says Ingonyama Cup will improve football standards and preserve Eswatini culture. His Majesty said this during the finals of the Ingonyama Cup at Somhlolo National Stadium.
The existence of the Ingonyama Cup will ensure the football standards in the country continue to improve while Eswatini's beautiful culture is preserved. It is for that reason that His Majesty King Mswati III initiated the Ingonyama Cup, which is a competition for culture and football funded by the Singatekele MVA Fund. His Majesty initiated the tournament so that it blends cultural ethics and football, which is very unique in the whole world. This innovation and creativity is promoting customs and tradition in many ways. During the finals of the tournament, His Majesty King Mswati III addressed the nation. His Majesty said this initiative brings the Maswati from all the corners of the country together. The King and Ingonyama also highlighted that through this tournament, Maswati will be able to develop their skills and further compete in tournaments throughout the world. Her Royal Highness Princess Ngozi paraded the trophy, which is the one that His Majesty awarded to the winner of the tournament. Before the awarding ceremony, the finals started with the final competition under culture. The culture part had a number of performers who represented the 4 regions of the country. The categories under the morning session including Timbongi, Lutango, Ingadla, Indlamu, and the last group that performed was La Gqebetelago. After the culture session, there was a game that followed between Mbabane Swallows and Green Mamba. The football category also began at regional level as there were more than 100 teams that took part in the tournament from the 4 regions of the kingdom. His Majesty King Mswati III awarded the winners of the tournament under culture. For Timbongi, Senzo Dlamini got the first prize. Under Ingadla, it was Mkhuzweni. In Lamu, Mapalaleni scored the first position. Under Lutango, it was Ngwene, while Buseleni under Laqebetelago scored the first position. For the sports category, His Majesty King Mswati III awarded the Green Mamba soccer team with the first position prize. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia at the Somhlolo National Stadium.
Before the end of this year, regulations for the Citizen Economic Empowerment Act will be finalized, putting the act into motion. The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, says the regulations will reserve certain sectors for Maswati and state clearly who should benefit from the act.
In the year 2011, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade started a journey for Eswatini to have a Citizen Economic Empowerment Act. This act, according to the minister, is meant to bring economic empowerment to local businesses. Some stakeholders worry that even foreign nationals will benefit because, as per the constitution, they can be viewed as citizens after getting citizenship. The minister clarifies.
What we will be doing is developing regulations, and the regulations will have a more granular level of detail that will specifically outline what do we mean in the context of this law by a citizen. But that definition will not be deviating from what the Constitution says. What we'll be emphasizing is people that, according to the Constitution, are citizens who should be given preferential treatment when it comes to starting small, medium enterprises, in terms of procurement, in terms of certain sectors of the economy, and certain areas of the economy where we will be intentionally carving out an opportunity for them to operate without undue competition from foreigners.
The Federation of Eswatini Business Community in the Hoho region has commended government for this act. Speaking during an interview, the chairperson Johannes Manikela says it has been a concern to see some of the foreign direct investors operating businesses in constituencies. Eswatini TV News, Nanswendla Ngamandla, Vuminkosi Nzimisa, Babane.
The Ministry of Agriculture is urging farmers to prioritize the growth of legumes, especially in light of recent rainfall across the country. The Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Mandla Chauka, says this is the right season to grow these valuable crops. The minister was speaking when advising farmers in light of the recent rainfall.
The country has experienced significant rainfall, even in regions where it is typically scarce. Areas like Big Bend have recorded approximately 10.2 millimeters of rainfall. With the approaching season, farmers are being urged to consider planting legumes to capitalize on these favorable weather conditions. The call for increased legumes cultivation comes directly from the Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Mandla Chauka.
Tulunali siyalibona. Sineke ngoba sibekulima sihlala sibuka sisijabula nasibona litulu.
Minister Chauka emphasizes the importance of legumes such as beans in agricultural practices. Mavela Vilane, the CEO of the National Maize Corporation, has shed light on the country's bean production situation.
Cishe umnyaka lo wengcile lesivuno lesivunile was the highest in 2023-2024 harvest season we've ever produced in the country.
According to Vilane, the country's demand for beans stands at approximately 7,000 metric tons, whereas farmers have only managed to produce around 300 metric tons. This significant deficit necessitates the importance of beans from other countries to meet local demand. Vilane remains optimistic about bridging this gap. The National Maize Corporation has forged partnerships to provide funding and support to local bean producers, aiming to boost domestic bean production. As a result of these initiatives, over 100 hectares of land have already been dedicated to bean cultivation. Vilane says it is anticipated that bean production will witness a considerable increase this year. For Eswatini TV News, Ndomlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Babane.
The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Mangloba Khumalo, has warned Eswatini against following social media messages from those impersonating him or his ministry with messages of grants purported to be from the ministry and the World Bank meant to assist small and medium enterprises. The minister says there is no grant the ministry is issuing currently in conjunction with the World Bank.
It has come to the ministry's attention that there is some fake news circulating on social media, which was an invitation to Eswatini to apply for a grant that is being coordinated by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade and the World Bank for MSME projects in the country. This is not true, and we do not have such a relationship with the World Bank, and such a grant does not actually exist. We have issued statements to the media, the print media, as well as to social media as the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini, both on the web page for government as well as the social media pages for government. We have realized, though, that Emaswati continue to fall for this scam, and we want to explicitly warn all Emaswati to not fall for that. The ministry has an official government page, and the Eswatini government page will carry all formal communication to Emaswati about initiatives of the ministry. The World Bank also has a formal World Bank page, and any initiatives that are supported by the World Bank will be carried in the World Bank page. We also want to say to Emaswati they must avoid any kind of interface on social media that will ultimately require people to fork out money for some potential project, or even messages that are purportedly coming from the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, because those are fake. We hope Emaswati will collaborate with us in stopping this particular scam that is going around.
The digital economy offers Eswatini a range of opportunities for economic development and leapfrogging. This was said by the Eswatini Communications Commission Chief Executive Mvela Wempi Dlamini at the pre-annual general meeting with CRASA at the Royal Villas.
The Eswatini Communication Commission is having a workshop as a prelude for the 30th CRASA annual general meeting.
Kutobonisana nje ke ukuthi njengoba livesela banjena nje libuke kakhulu lithembele kakhulu kutona letekuxhumana.
The ESCOM Chief Executive Mvela Dlamini says the purpose of the workshop is to have discussions with captains of industry, stakeholders, and consumers on how we can use innovation in order to enhance the work of regulators with the SADC region. The Executive Secretary for CEO in CRASA, Bridget Lindsay, says she hopes the outcome of the conference will be a productive one in the communication sector.
Looking at how the emerging technologies, the newer digital technologies which are emerging in the industry, including artificial intelligence, big data, and all other applications which are coming with 5G mobile technologies, would allow us as a region to develop in terms of social and economic growth.
The 30th annual general meeting will begin on Wednesday under the theme of Innovation for Better Regulation. Reporting Cindy Swazwani, Smuva Shongwe, Ezulwini.
International news, Israel leaders were preparing Monday for military operations in Gaza's southern city of Rafah, where most of the Palestinian territory's population has fled after 6 months of fighting. Israel pulled its forces out of the southern Gaza Strip on Sunday, but Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant said troops had left the city of Khan Yunis to prepare for future missions, including Rafah.
They had fled fighting in Khan Yunis earlier in the war, and now the Israeli forces say they are pulling out of the southern city. These Palestinians have returned, but the city they once knew is now a landscape of ruins.
We came to see what happened to the house, but we couldn't find any houses. It's just rubble. You can't live here. Animals can't live here. So how's a person supposed to? The destruction is unreal.
The withdrawal from Khan Yunis is part of a wider push from Israel to reduce its troops in Gaza, this in a bid to relieve reservists who have been battling Hamas since last October. The pullout wraps up what has been a key phase in the war, but Israel insists the fighting isn't over. The army is eyeing up the southern city of Rafah as its next target.
The war in Gaza continues, and we are far from stopping.
The heads of Hamas are still hiding. We will reach them sooner or later. We will not leave any operative Hamas divisions in any part of the Gaza Strip. We have plans and we will act when we decide.
Rafah is Hamas's last remaining stronghold. It's also home to some 1.4 million people who are sheltering there. There's been global opposition to the plans for a ground invasion in the southern city, including from Israel's top ally, the US. Washington is demanding to see a credible plan to protect civilians in Rafah. The calls have fallen on deaf ears. According to local media in Israel, the military is preparing to begin evacuating Rafah within 1 week, a process that could take several months.
President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Sunday that Ukraine will lose its war against Russia if the U.S. Congress does not approve a major military aid package as Russian forces heighten their pressure on a frontline city.
To ask you to continue your work.
Without aid from the U.S. Congress, the war will continue, as he spoke during a video meeting of a fundraising platform for Ukraine.
We must tell Congress that if Congress does not help Ukraine, Ukraine will lose the war. And we need to find a public format for this. If Ukraine loses the war, other states will be attacked. And that's a fact.
The Ukrainian president is issuing stark warnings about the deteriorating situation faced by Ukraine's air defenses. He says he still believes Kyiv can get a positive vote in Congress, where Republicans have been blocking tens of billions of dollars in military assistance for months.
It will be new and extra money.
NATO has reiterated its strong support. The NATO Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, says he is confident a long-term funding deal for Kyiv would be agreed by July.
Long term. The paradox is that the clearer we convey to President Putin that he cannot wait us out, the more likely it is that this war can end in a way which is just and lasting. Because now President Putin believes that he can win on the battlefield. We need to convey to him that he will not win on the battlefield.
Amid delays in supplies of vital Western aid, the Ukrainian army is struggling. A key battle is taking place around eastern Ukraine's frontline city of Chaziv Yar, an important rail and logistics hub for the Ukrainian army. Also on Sunday, among reports of fighting in various locations, Russian strikes wounded several people in Kharkiv, which is Ukraine's second largest city. 30 kilometers from the Russian border, it has been badly affected by Russia's renewed missile and drone attacks since late March.
27 people are set to go on trial for money laundering in connection with the Panama Papers tax evasion scandal, which revealed how many of the world's wealthy stashed assets in offshore companies.
The revelations in the 2016 Panama Papers sent shockwaves around the world. First in the Central American country itself, which was forced to adopt new legislation against tax fraud. It's thanks to these new laws that the trial in Panama can go ahead. Among those on trial, the two founders of the now defunct Mossack Fonseca.
Mi nombre es Jürgen Mossack. Mi nombre es Ramón Fonseca Mora.
The firm's 11.5 million leaked documents exposed a worldwide web of offshore shell companies for influential clients, including the likes of former British Premier David Cameron.
I want to be completely transparent and open about these things.
And football star Lionel Messi, as well as close associates of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Some of the documents showed that Mossack Fonseca shell corporations had been used for fraud, tax evasion, or avoiding international sanctions. The leak triggered more scrutiny on tax havens and the opening of judicial and tax investigations around the world. Then Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was disqualified for life from office after being implicated in the files, and the Icelandic Prime Minister at the time was forced to resign. 5 years after the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists first published the papers, governments around the world had recouped more than $1.3 billion in back taxes and penalties.
A Southwest Airlines flight returned safely to Denver after an engine cover fell off during takeoff on Sunday. The Federal Aviation Administration said the latest in a spate of safety incidents involving Boeing.
It's another Boeing safety mishap. Southwest Airlines was taking off from Denver when a piece of engine cowling detached itself. These surreal scenes were filmed by passengers on the plane, prompting the pilot to immediately contact the air traffic controllers.
Let's go ahead and declare an emergency for Southwest 3695, and we'd like an immediate return. We got a piece of the engine cowling hanging off, apparently.
The incident occurred Sunday morning. The Boeing aircraft with its 135 passengers was heading for Houston, but after 25 minutes in the air, made a U-turn and landed back down. The FAA announced it would open an investigation into the incident, yet another one on its list of Boeing cases. It's just the latest in a long string of safety failures for the American aviation giant, after a fuselage panel blew out on an Alaska Airlines flight over Oregon in January. Multiple quality control issues triggered the exit of a significant portion of the company's leadership, including CEO Dave Calhoun, who'll be stepping down at the end of the year. Critics say Boeing's once robust culture of safety and engineering mastery has been replaced by short-term profit chasing that has led to too many corners being cut on the production line.
Millions of people in the United States, from Texas to Maine, looked to the sky to witness a rare total solar eclipse. VOA attended a viewing event hosted by NASA and Purdue University at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and has more.
The decision to come to Indianapolis, Indiana's famous Motor Speedway to join the crowd of spectators witnessing a total solar eclipse came at the last minute for Enrique Catalan and his family. It was supposed to be a regular day of school for his children.
We're skipping today, yes. They're approved by us.
Catalan and his family drove 2 hours from northern Indiana to witness something that had left an impression on him as a teenager in Mexico during a partial eclipse.
The experience, it was unique to me. So that's why we're here, because I remember when did happen when I was young, and now I wanted them to experience it as well. Well, they are going to experience the total eclipse.
The racetrack was one of several locations where NASA and its partners hosted programming in the path of totality, the swath of the U.S. that can see the moon completely blocking the sun as the eclipse makes its way northeast. Charles and Kathy Maher from Chicago, Illinois, felt sharing the event with the massive crowd in Indianapolis was a unifying moment in a country politically polarized in a presidential election year.
Nobody's going to be talking about what side the sun is on or the moon is on, or, you know.
It's not red or blue. It's
right.
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah, it is sort of a little break from everything that's going on.
Today, millions of Americans will stand together, looking up at the sky in awe and wonder at this cosmic coincidence that makes our moon look like it's exactly the same size as the sun.
NASA Deputy Administrator Pam Melroy says her agency's efforts to study this rare event weren't isolated to just a few locations across the country.
We have a program where some people have been trained to use solar telescopes all around the country.
Meng Chang is president of Indiana's Purdue University, which boasts a number of graduates who became NASA astronauts. He hopes the accessibility of the eclipse to a large number of young Americans might help inspire them to pursue careers in science.
It's not just a watch party for 3 minutes. It is a lifelong educational journey, and today is a very meaningful special stop along that journey.
For those who missed witnessing the 2024 total solar eclipse, the next opportunities to see one firsthand in the United States won't occur until 2044 and 2045.
French and British troops on Monday swapped roles to take part in changing of the guard ceremonies outside the palaces of the other country's head of state in an unprecedented move to celebrate 120 years since the Entente Cordiale.
British soldiers marching at the Élysée Palace. An unprecedented sight. The British Coldstream Guard took part in the changing of the Republican Guard on the steps of the French presidential palace, relieving their French counterparts. It was the first time foreign troops have been included in the ceremony. The swap to celebrate 120 years of Entente Cordiale agreements between France and the UK. French President Emmanuel Macron stood alongside the British ambassador, Dame Menna Rawlings. A French army choir sang the national anthems of both countries. Outside the palace, a crowd turned out for the historic occasion. Soon after, across the Channel, French Republican Guards marched outside Buckingham Palace, serenaded by a British military band in a ceremony attended by the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. The French, however, did not stand guard here, an honour reserved for British and Commonwealth troops. The French president praised the historic agreement on social media, describing it as the cornerstone of Franco-UK relations in the face of Brexit and war in Europe.
Long live the Entente Cordiale and long live the Franco-British friendship.
The Entente Cordiale, a 1904 series of agreements, settled colonial disputes and significantly improved relations between the countries.
Over the past 5 years, athletes have broken world records across middle and long distance running, with many saying the new rise of high-tech running shoes are why record timings have been tumbling.
In the heart of Paris, these athletes are here to smash their records in a 10-kilometre speed race ahead of the marathon. What they had in common was the trainers on their feet, the latest model from Japanese manufacturer ASICS, which claims they're the fastest ever created. Finishing in fourth place, Etienne Daguineau was the first Frenchman to cross the finishing line, breaking his personal best.
My record was 28:14 last October. It looks like I ran 7 seconds faster.
20 records were broken in all, including 2 women who finished in under 30 minutes. An achievement made by only 15 women in history.
The new foam we put in the shoe is innovative because it's light and very reactive. Inside there is a carbon plate which gives a springy effect.
The carbon is inserted into the sole via a rigid plate, immersed in 4 centimetres of cushioning foam, and the combination guarantees better propulsion with every stride. Eliud Kipchoge made history in under 2 hours with the first carbon plate trainer prototype on his feet. But it wasn't officially registered, with the record considered unbroken. Specialists say the effects of the carbon plate are undeniable.
When we look at the top 50 French runners' timings for a 10K race, we can see that over 15 years, the curve is relatively stable. When these shoes hit the market in 2019, the running time dropped significantly. Scientific studies cannot directly show gains in timing or performance, because it's shown they're using less oxygen to run at the same speed.
However, some are concerned these so-called super shoes are faking performances and interfering with how natural sporting talent is judged. The World Athletics Federation has pledged to tighten rules by reducing sole thickness, but it will only be coming into force after the Olympics.
Extreme marathon runner Ross Cook completed his run across the entire length of Africa in Tunisia on Sunday after traveling through 16 countries with a 352-day odyssey, including being robbed at gunpoint and suffering food poisoning.
Scenes of jubilation and relief as Ross Cook reached the northernmost point of Africa, becoming the first person to run the entire length of the continent. It marks the end of a 352-day journey for the Englishman, in which he traversed 16,000 kilometres through 16 countries, starting in Cape Agulhas in South Africa and finishing in Ras Angela in Tunisia. For the final leg of his run, the 27-year-old was joined by supporters.
I saw the post on Instagram where he invited everyone out. I was laying on my couch. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I saw it. And he said everybody can come. I literally got on Skyscanner. I looked for a ticket, and 20 minutes later I bought the ticket, and here I am.
Cook, who has spoken about how running helped him deal with mental health struggles, previously ran about 3,000 kilometres from Istanbul to his hometown of Worthing. His Africa run has raised more than 800,000 euros for the running charity, which works with young homeless people, and Sandblast, a charity that helps displaced people from Western Sahara. Throughout the mammoth endeavour, which he documented on social media, Cook had to overcome a number of challenges. In Angola, he was given a police escort after armed thieves stole cameras, phones, cash and passports from him and his support team.
I love running. I love running when men point guns in my face. I love running when I wee blood.
Cook also faced health problems, including recurring back pain, and he was denied a visa to cross through Algeria, but after an appeal on social media went viral, the Algerian embassy in the UK stepped in. Having pushed through, Cook lived up to his nickname, the hardest geezer. He celebrated with strawberry daiquiris on the beach.
Now, sports news. Ingonyama Cup Public Relations Officer Ngoslinhle Masuku has hailed His Majesty King Eswatini III and applauded members of the public for attending the Ingonyama Cup finals in their numbers held at Somhlolo National Stadium, with Green Mamba being the eventual champions after their 1-0 victory against Mbabane Swallows.
For us, we are always grateful to His Majesty the King for such a tournament, because this is the brainchild of His Majesty. We are here because of his brainchild. So we're here, we're seeing culture and football, one of the best tournaments that we've seen, not just in the region, but in the whole continent. In Ingonyama Cup it is. The support is great. I must tell you that we've gone sold out with tickets, so some of the supporters may not be here. This is both the biggest tournament and a very good developmental tournament, because 108 clubs that we've seen of this tournament, we start at the regional level, that is the grassroots level that gets us to this far. We started last year in September, October, and the journey has been so good. Here we are today, we are left with only 2 clubs, Mbabane Swallows and Green Mamba. And yes, it has been an exciting tournament, and we're very much grateful to our supporters to brave such a weather. They are here and you can see the excitement, but the culture spice it up and it becomes a beautiful bonanza that we have in the kingdom. The rain says it all, because we've been looking forward to this. You can actually see how happy the supporters are. This is one of the biggest tournaments in the country. Everyone has been looking forward to seeing Ingonyama Cup.
Eswatini top sprinters being Spusiso Matsenjwa and Bongiwe Mahlalela have begun preparations for the 2024 Olympic Game qualifiers to take place next month. For Matsenjwa, he will be playing his last Olympic Games. Mahlalela will be playing her first.
I'll start now doing some light work and speed work to try and now focus at the Olympic Games. And also I have African Championships, which are part of my preparation for Olympic Games. And I'm hoping to do my best. And I'm just praying and crossing my fingers that I don't get injuries, because that's the only thing that can stop me from doing my best at the Olympic Games. And my best will see me maybe going to the semi-finals, going to the final, because I always told myself that if I run 20.4, if I run a national record, it will take me to the next level.
Still preparing for Olympics. I'm still training good. I'm still pushing so hard to qualify. It's not really that far. It's coming bit by bit. If you are not confident, there's nothing you can perform, because performance starts here, then it runs in your body. If you tell your mind that now we are going to run and this is what is supposed to happen, then your the body follows.
And that's it for our news. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m, where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Hey you! Yes, you. Have you paid your TV license? Did you know that by paying for your TV license fees, you will be complying with the laws that govern television possession, in particularly the Swaziland Television Authority Act of 1983 and its regulations? It is a legal obligation.
Paying for your TV license can have a positive spin-off, as the money collected from TV license fees goes a long way in assisting Eswatini Television Authority procure appealing and relevant content to broadcast on the channel.
So now, these fees also increase purchasing of local content from independent producers, which helps ensure that the arts and film industry in the country is well supported thus far, and ensures the creation of jobs for eMaswati. The payment of TV license fees goes a really long way in such endeavors, as well as nation building.
A TV license costs 180 emalangeni per year per device, and for other accessories such as a decoder or njinda, it costs 50 emalangeni per device per year.
By paying for your TV license,
you will be doing the right thing.
Hi, I'm Alex. Want to catch a movie? Now, I know what you're thinking. I clicked to watch a video about value-added taxes, not movies. Well, taxes and movies have more in common than you might think. They both generate revenue, they can be really complicated, and some are just blockbusters. Like our old friend, value-added tax, also known as VAT, or a goods and services tax. So, how do value-added taxes work? Let me explain. With popcorn, obviously. The corn starts out in a field with a farmer growing his crop. He sells it to a company that takes that corn and puts it in fancy packaging. Then, that company sells the packaged products to the cinema, and ultimately to the customer. Now, let's rewind and watch that again. And this time, let's assume that the country where all this is taking place has a 10% value-added tax. Here's how that works. Our farmer sells his popcorn for $10, but the packaging company buying it, they actually pay him $11. So why the extra dollar? Because that's the 10% VAT. That same thing happens again when the company sells the packaged popcorn to the cinema for a profit. So now the price is $15. But with the added 10% VAT, the cinema actually pays $16.50. And then, finally, the cinema sells the popcorn to the customer for $20. And that customer, once the VAT has been added, is paying $22. So far, so good. But here's an added ingredient that advocates of VAT say makes the system really work. And that's tax credit for businesses. A tax credit is just an amount that a business can subtract from the VAT it owes the government. VAT makes it so that while everyone on the supply chain pays their 10% in tax, they also get tax credits for whatever's already been paid by those selling to them. So, across the whole process, it's a flat rate of 10%. In the end, only the consumers actually pay the VAT since they aren't granted a credit. Oh, great, it's starting. Let's go. So the thing is, let's take this somewhere else. You may have noticed how popular that handsome actor was. Real star power. Well, that's kind of like value-added taxes. They're one of the biggest sources of tax revenue in the world. More than 160 countries have a VAT. Why? Well, there's less tax evasion. VATs are a built-in cost. So each business isn't just collecting the tax themselves. So they're motivated to report their taxes honestly to get those tax credits. And it's important that they do. While VAT rates are different in each country, the average VAT raises around a third of a country's tax revenue. So It's an important source of funding for everything from improving our infrastructure and countering climate change to creating equality and improving health and social safety nets. But just as with any movie, VATs have their critics. Some say that a VAT is unfair to poorer people because they spend most of their income, so they face a higher burden. But a lot of those concerns can be answered by using the money from VAT to help the most vulnerable. Some argue that reducing the VAT rate on basic food could be a solution, but it ends up benefiting those who don't need it and makes VAT collection more complex. That can be avoided by making sure that there's a single universal VAT rate and using progressive income taxes and cash transfers to support poorer households. And that's VAT. Cut. Feels like we could have gone for more of a Hollywood ending, right? That's VAT.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze. Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhiqiza lokusebenzisa.
Hi, I'm Wala, and I work here at the IMF in a building full of economists. And you're here because you want to know about carbon? What's that got to do with the economy? We'll get to that. First, what even is carbon? It's an incredibly versatile element. It can take a million different forms, from coal to diamonds. It's naturally occurring and in almost everything, including you and me. It's what we use to keep the lights on, the cars on the road, and the planes in the air. And these are nice things, but when we use carbon fuel, it emits carbon dioxide, or CO2, and that causes all kinds of problems. CO2, along with a handful of other gases, traps sunlight, heating up the planet. This is causing extreme weather, rising sea levels, and droughts. It also makes people sick. It's pretty bad. And if we don't completely stop dumping CO2 into the air by 2050, it'll get so much worse. So why do we keep emitting so much carbon dioxide if we know it's no good for the planet or for us? Well, carbon-based fuel is cheap to use, in large part because there's no price tag on the damage it causes. But what if there were? That's where carbon pricing comes in. It's an idea where we're paying not just for the energy, but for the pollution we're emitting as a result of using that energy. In that way, carbon pricing makes it so that energy sources that don't emit CO2, like solar and wind, more affordable than the dirty stuff. See, I told you we'd get to the economics of it all. With carbon pricing, governments, companies, and individuals are more likely to switch to sustainable, cleaner, and cheaper forms of energy. We'd consume less and invest more in renewable sources. But we can't expect countries to switch entirely to clean energy sources overnight. And we have to make sure that the transition away from carbon energy is fair for everyone. It's an example of what experts call mitigation, a fancy word used to talk about stabilizing the climate by bringing emissions down to zero. It's part of what we have to do to literally keep the planet livable, and fast, because 2050 isn't that far off. Carbon pricing alone isn't an instant fix, but it is something that this building full of economists say is key to changing the equation, making it more expensive to keep polluting and cheaper to save the planet, adding up to zero emissions. That way, we can keep some of our nice things while keeping things nice.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
It's 46 minutes after 7. Welcome back to the program. We welcome the Director of Eswatini Meteorological Service, Kusile, to talk about the weather focused, the weather really that is, I would say, confusing for at least the past 2 weeks. We have had a lot of misinformation and disinformation from people on social media, which has particularly, circled into real life. We've heard even His Majesty the King, as I welcome you into the program, nakafika enkundleni kaSomhlolo waveta ukuthi simehlulile egamane. And for me, there was a confirmation because the narrative really came lakangwane and it stayed. We have experienced this cyclone. Did we really experience it? I just want to confirm from you.
My confirmation would be to say Gamane ube khona in the Indian Ocean, but didn't come into the subcontinent. Waqhamuka nje waba to the east of Madagascar. Wangena into Madagascar at the end of March, like about 26 March.
Yeah.
Wangena ke wedala kumonakalo in northern Madagascar, but waphinza waphuma wabuyela to the east of Madagascar, waqhubeka ne-Indian Ocean. By the 1st of April wafa Gamane. Lokushoyo ukuthi kuleli viki leliphelile lapho sesicala khona sisiveze eMaswati kuthumelelana imlayeto lethi kunaGamane. Gamane sekude nje lokukhona in the Indian Ocean lokuyi-tropical cyclone.
Yeah.
Mane-ke singeMaswati vele siyatiwa ngiyokubanje ngabantu labahloniphako. Ngiyathemba loyo ukuthi sitawuchubeka sihloniphe ukuthi ihlonipha-ke kufakana kungadanzisi itindzaba letingasilo liqiniso. Ungafuni nje ukuthi kuthiwe nawe wanzisa itindzaba letingasilo liqiniso. Lokuliqiniso-ke ukuthi sicwayiso sona sisikhiphile kuleli viki leliphelile ukuthi kunetimvula letitawuchubeka, kepha-ke bese kungasasuye eGamane. Sibonile-ke tichubeka tentana ngetindlela letehlukile even kuletinye tindzawo sibonile etindzabeni ukuthi bafana bakhona ngani etikolweni ngendzaba tetimvula letisolo-ke tichubekile-ke kuze kube kunamuhla. We've had a cold front sabana lesikubita nge-cut off low le cishe-ke le cut off low icishe i-affecte the better part of the sub-region. Bengibuka nje itolo ngibuka ukuthi ngisho kubobotswana tindzawo lapho kungakavami kunakhona ukhanza sekunemigwaco sekuhambe manje lakhathe emgwaqweni. Solo is part of the system lekhona in the sub-region.
Yeah. Speaking on letimvula lesti experiencile, certainly sitibone kakhulu ngoba bekunemisebenzi leti coincide nato singasho ukuthi national events, so to speak, the Army Day and Ingwenyama Cup in particular, where a lot of people went outside. We all experience these events. When should we expect the weather to improve? And just like you've said, we are experiencing those rains even this morning.
Yes, sitibonile letimvula and tiqonzana nanalama events, but lokube kuhle ngemusa wenkosi kube ukuthi bokhanza ukuthi lapho kunalama events khona akusiko lesikhathi lapho i-intense khona lemvula takwakhona ke ukuthi kuchubeke, kepha ukhanze ukuthi while kuchubeka kuleyo ndzawo kuletinye tindzawo khona na ungababuta ukuthi kwente kani bangakutshela ukuthi libi lelidululala nalesivimbetele etindlini. sibhekeke ukuthi le system yethu le beyisolo is affecta iyangekuphuma namuhla siyadibona imvula tiyaqhubeka kepha sibhekeke ukuthi emini namuhla libe seliphakamisile nakusasa ke sibhekeke ukuthi liqhubeke liphakamise kopha kungaba kusho ke eMaswatini ukuthi simo selitulu siyinfo leqhubekako while sibhekeke ukuthi iphume le system lena there is a cold front lesiyibhekile ngalesine kepha ke yona ayisasiko intense njengalena lebesibenayo kuleli viki leliphelile sawubona nje wona emafu netimvudlana letimelula etindzaweni letithiteni kepha ke angeke kusafanana nalokhu lesiku experience kulamalanga.
It's quite interesting. Speaking on a cold front and kubuka le season lesikuyo nyalo umuntu akasiko sure ukuthi siku winter already noma sesitongena go winter. Yes, siyabona ukuthi ilanga selinako ukuthi selicishe lisheshe lishone, but at the same time we are not used to a winter that has rain, so we just want to confirm, have we officially entered the winter season?
We are getting into winter. Kungena ebusika kuyi-transitional period, and my personal observation over the past kwekuthi iningi leminyaka lokhanza khona ukuthi ezisiya kuyongena ebusika sekuningi lokuba netimvudlana ukhanze ukuthi nje liba nemafu lisibekele by the time ulibalela bebe solo sicabanga ukuthi ngilokuthi lisibekele, then you realize ukuthi no vele sekusheshe kube mnyama sekusebusika. Manje kuliciniso ukuthi kulomnyaka ukhanze ukuthi etindzaweni letini ngetikhathi iba more intense lemvula than probably we would have expected at this time of the year. Kepha nje lama systems la kakhona ama systems la kabakhona ngile intensity ne frequency lo lokushintsha.
You have alluded to something in your past question ukuthi while we experienced the rains engcenye la madolobheni sabana ukhathateka kancane, there were other parts of the country where they experienced them intensely and bongakutshela ukuthi sabakhona kuphuma endlini. Which are some of those areas?
Cishe tindzawo letisempumalanga nelive bo Simunye, Big Bend, that belt nje ngalo lesihlanu tabakhona timvula letithe kucina in the afternoon. Yes.
So nangibuka nje naba bantwana basestegi labahlanganiswa ngumgwaqo wasithathawe naStegi labangakhoni ke esikoleni, they were think estimated to about over 60 of them abakakhoni kuya itolo. With the weather improving today, as you are promising us, manibuka nje vele simo selitulu ukuthi start improving, can we say to those people in that area ukuthi salobanga wehlise amaphapho, the weather is indeed improving, they'll be able to go to school?
The weather is improving, but being able to go to school, there are a number of things that you need to take into account. So I would say to those communities laba affectwe kuvaleka kwetindlela abangathi ngoba selibalele bese bathi all is clear, abathathise bahlole emaphoyisa ayabuka, bakhona nabaka Department of Water Affairs laba monitor yona imifula nemadamu ukuthi kwendekani, because it then takes a bit of time ukuthi kuclearishe konke depending on the nature of the flooding lebeyikhona. So kungaba ngiloyo ukuthi sicela loyo ukuthi baqhubeke bacaphele. Sibonile netexwayiso letiphume emaphoyiseni ukuthi imifula igcwele, siqhubeke sicaphele siyihloniphe imifula kuze ukuthi siphephe. Kungaba nana kubonga nje Eswatini seMaswati ukuthi kusukela nasikhuluma ngaFilipho nanyalo le level of tingoti letibe khona ngeke bamfu bangene emifuleni lese igole tinthethe akusiko lesicishe sikubonile, kukubonga nje ukuthi eMaswati atithathe texwayiso aphephe.
Certainly. Maybe as a parting question, this one speaks to Litiwala agriculture. I know they get excited kakhulu when they see rains. So much so, one of our interviews with the Agriculture Minister, Honorable Mandla Chauka, during the Ingwenyama Cup was, we are happy to experience these rains in the midst of the games. Without the rains, but so we just want to know, as the farming community would see, how excited should we be regarding the consistency of these rains? But this is an opportunity for us. Will this be the perfect time for them to look into that?
I would say balimi abakuconsider lokho, but bakuconsider baqhubeke baxhumane netiko letekulima, baxhumane nabalimisi babo ngoba tindzawo atifanani. We are getting into winter, so sibheke kona ukuthi timvula tetfu tinciphe, kepha akufanani, and with the water lemanti lasekakhona, it then depends from tindzawo ngetindzawo ukuthi ungakuchuba sikhathi lesingakanani and leso silimo lofuna kusilima ngilesitawudzinga emanti lakangakanani. Bakhona balimisi batawucwayisa, siyabonga lo ukuthi vele timvula tibe khona singene ebusika kahle, and ke besishido ngicela kusho nanyalo ukuthi phambilini besithite sik El Nino, kepha sesiyaphuma El Nino siya ku neutral phase, sibheke ukuthi sitawubuyela kula Nina, lokusho ukuthi emathuba ukuthi timvula tethu tibe ngilete tayelekile kuyangetulu ezisichubeka singena ebusika and into the next summer asetulu, kepha sitawuchubeka netimphengu tethu sichubeke sisadise sive.
One of my personal questions that I've been meaning to ask, the advent of climate change has certainly affected weather patterns. Some of the recommendations that are being put, forward as recommendations, COP27, COP28. I just wonder, how much has that affected my focus, and is it becoming harder now to see what the weather patterns are going to look like?
Focused, whether be it weather focused or financial focused or any type of focus, basis it's the trends in the past.
Okay.
So you take it from the trends in the past, and then you know what sort of indicators affect you, what sort of things should you look into to then predict how you go forward. So nasekhuluma ngesimo selitulu, and with climate change kuningi lokushintsha, and we're seeing a lot of firsts lekusho ukuthi vele umsebenzi wethu affected, but while affected there is a lot of research that is ongoing, and naletindlela tekufocus that they are improving, but nathi kufuna sihlale senyuse emasokisi sihlale sicaphele. Yes, it is affected nalama first lakakhona, but siyachubeka, and ikhona nale international cooperation le we are part of. Siyachubeka, siyasebenzisana to try our best to give umhlaba wonke, including our very own nation, the best information we can, given the changes that we're experiencing.
You have been giving us the best information that you can. It has been accurate, so to speak, looking at the past experiences that we've had, particularly Nasimo Seltu. So we thank you for that, and we hope that the research that you're doing will essentially help you be on par every day with all the developments happening around the weather. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and providing those insights. Sithembe ukuthi nemaswati siyakhuta nje kakhulu kulawo, just like you have said, ukubeke very diplomatically ukuthi satiwa ngenhlonipho. So nangabe you are in a position to spread misinformation and disinformation, please remember, hlala nje kunakulo wakufunzela. If you are a teacher, just focus on teaching. If you are a news anchor, focus on anchoring. Bakhona experts kuloku ke kwesimo selitulu sitabo bacela ukuthi basichazele kabanzi, and they do take out statements to alert us whenever there's something that's going to happen. So siyacela lo ukuthi don't spread misinformation and disinformation. Kunengi lokubese ke affecteka evena sibahlo let market sitabuya sigoqoda lihlelo.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhiqiza lokusemndeni.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
sifile sive sitikhulume.
8 minutes before 8 o'clock, we've come to the end of our show today. Thank you for joining us. If you've just joined us, worry not, you can still watch this episode on our YouTube page, Eswatini TV. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a lovely day.